people complaining. Now, when people are jumping in the air and they're getting fouled, absolutely that is uncalled for. You got to foul them before they go up. You got to cause a fight while they're on the ground. You don't wait until they're up in the air, defenseless, to really cause a foul. But other than that, I think that with that being basketball is at its finest. We have the Miami Heat and the 76ers. James Harden is finally coming alive because he's been dead in my book for the past several games. Like, what are you doing? Because you got to support your other superstar. And speaking of superstar, unfortunately, Joel Embiid, my namesake, Joel Embiid did not get the MVP. Jokic got it. People are upset behind that, but it was a tough call, I believe. Bottom line, I personally would have voted for Joel Embiid if the vote was coming my way, but I'm not that high up in the media field to actually present that. In the world of hockey, I'm not that interested in hockey, but hey, we'll talk about it. The Tampa Bay Lightning. That's not my, Tampa Bay Lightning. They're still in the playoffs. We'll see what happens. Hopefully, they will march on and win themselves another Stanley Cup. We shall see. What I do know, being that I am from New York, and folks that love the New York Mets usually love the New York Islanders. And the Islanders are really upsetting a couple of my friends from Long Island on some calls that have been made. But other than that, the Rangers are doing well. And usually this is how it normally works. It's if you're a Yankees fan, it's Yankees, Rangers, and the Giants. And if you are a Mets fan, it's Mets, Islanders, and Jets. And there's some people are just confused and they just do everything. Me, from Brooklyn, that's the reason why our guest today, because I gotta represent, is we do Yankees. Like I said, I really don't care about hockey, so it could be Rangers and Islanders. And when it comes to football, I'm all about my Giants, for sure. The Jets, I am not part of that green machine. Nah, that's not me. So what our guest today is the former senior executive with the New York Yankees for 11 years. He was a former owner and managing general partner. He served as general partner of the Yankees for 6 years, from 92 to 98, and from 92 to 95, he was the managing general partner responsible for all baseball and business operations. This was the golden years, baby. The golden years. And under his leadership, they expanded their investments in player development, one of the first of its kind to really, really hone in on that, and scouting. After George Steinbrenner's reinstatement in 93, he remained owner and general partner, involved in all aspects of the organization, and as the leader of the most valuable sports franchise in the world, baby. That's right, numero uno, 27, baby, 27. And now he has ventured off to do his own thing. Let's welcome to the show Mr. Joseph Malloy from JamSportsVentures.com, who is currently providing consulting services to various different major league teams, NBA teams, even the hockey teams that I'm not interested in, but and as well as soccer all across the world. Welcome to the show, to sports and to Power Moves, Joe Malloy. How you doing, brother?
Hey, Joel. Hi. How are you? Great intro.
Awesome, man.
I have to make a reference, if you don't mind. Can they bring back the traveling call in the NBA? That's all. Let's bring back the traveling call.
So let's really think about that, Joe. As much as I love Michael Jordan as my GOAT, he's the one that started the whole traveling in the first place.
I tell you, it's 5 steps to get a layup or a dunk or anything else. But anyway, that's okay. We'll live with it. You enjoy the NBA the last 5 minutes.
That's right. That's right. That's right. Well, awesome. Well, we see the paraphernalia and everything. How have you been? How's your family been, especially during this COVID for the past couple of years?
Sure. Everybody. Well, currently I have 4 children and 6 grandbabies. So it's active and keeping me young.
So they've been active during COVID, I see.
Well, I can't divulge any ages or when or how, but no, everybody is healthy and happy and doing really well. And all of my children, of course, are in their own space and business and so forth. And so we're happy for them. I'm excited for them, and they got a long, long road ahead of them with family and life, and I'm proud of every one of them. So
excellent, excellent. And so, with that being said, you're heavily involved in sports. Could you share with us what got you started and interested in being in the sports industry? That got you, into it?
Well, actually, it started in my early days as a school teacher, right? And I started teaching at St. Lawrence Catholic School, and I was this coach. So I, coached everything, the basketball, track, softball, tennis. I mean, we did anything and everything at St. Lawrence back in the day. And of course, playing sports as a young kid. Played baseball, got injured, so my baseball career ended before I went into high school. And then the opportunity came, of course, with the New York Yankees, and that afforded me the opportunity to grow with the company and able to learn, certainly make some mistakes along the way, and I learned from those mistakes and never repeated them. And so that's kind of been my path to get into sports. I think it's a entertainment business. It affords all kind of fans to participate in all levels, and now even more so with certainly the technologies that are coming into play within the whole metaverse. Everybody's kind of reading and hearing about it, right? And so
Right.
Fan engagement is going to be a crucial part of increasing revenue, one, and then, of course, fans and their participation and their excitement about the game. So it has certainly broadened a lot of horizons, that's for sure.
I love that you already jumped into the fact of engagement in the industry, and the fact that you've also acknowledged that it is entertainment. Because a lot of times when people think of sports, they just think of it as a place to go to, and they're not thinking that it is actually entertainment, right? Like just most recently, Magic Johnson just did his documentary on Apple TV, and one of his partners, because I read the book a long time ago, but one of his partners is Peter Guber over at the Dodgers, and Peter was always about the entertainment aspect of presenting sports, as well as even Dr. Buss with the Lakers made sure he created the Laker girls and the halftime show and the dancer and things of that nature to kind of keep the audience engaged. We have about 2 minutes before we go on break, but could you share with me what are your thoughts about Web 3.0 and the metaverse?
I think it's going to be an integral part of the stadium experience. Actually, even before you even go to the stadium, right? It's going to be part of that, the phone, the app, what you're touching, what you're looking at, what are you doing prior to the game? How are you getting ready? Where do you shop for your best jersey, right? I mean, all of that's going to be part of everybody knowing everything, right? And so that in itself is a revenue generating mechanism for clubs, marketing, advertising, sponsorships, and so forth. I see it as like I said, an integral part of the fan experience, entering the stadium, all of the things that are going on. If you look at SoFi and Allegiant stadiums, they are technology advanced, right, but yet they're probably not fully metaversed at this point because it's evolving 24/7. Every almost day there's something new, and you try to do and get the best of breed, and you put those in your stadiums for your fans, for the apps that you're utilizing. I just see it as a really big NFTs are going to be a big part. That poster behind you, I can see from our Zoom call, could be an NFT that somebody might want to purchase, right? And so, owning that, as you recall growing up, that Topps business card, baseball card.
That's right.
The NFT is probably at some point in time going to replace that piece of memorabilia, if you will. And you would own that memorabilia as you own that baseball card for your whole life.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, I think that, as I said, I really think it's going to be critical for teams to look at what the metaverse is capable of doing to do all of those things for the fan engagement, the experience, the stadium experience, the owners' suites, and all of the various aspects of what goes on in a stadium. You've been in a few.
Yes. So hold that thought, because we got to pay some bills, Joe. So
I got you.
We'll be right back. So once again, this is Power Moves with celebrities, athletes, key influence executives, how they make money, how they attract power, and how they earn respect. We'll see you in about 2 minutes. Take it away, Bezel.
Call Ricky. Ask Ricky. You need medical or a lawyer? I got the man to do the legwork for you. We tried the other ones before, so believe we hunted down 813-248-6300. Everything gon' be okay. Call Ricky, he coming. He taking care of state of Florida. Grab a pen of sundown. 184-361-RICK. That's 184-361-425. Never word from the point forward, just recline. Just ask Ricky, plus your boy statewide. Just in case you missed it, I'ma tell you one more time. 184-361-RICK. Call Ricky, ask Ricky. It's a legal medical referral service. The doctors and lawyers in our network are trained in handling auto injury claims and getting you the best medical treatment and recovery. Dial 1-844-361-RICK. That's 1-844-361-7425. Call Ricky. Ask Ricky.
Hey, this is Agent Wright, better known as Mr. Clean. You looking for some great barbecues? Come see them two brothers in the grill, located at 423 Virginia Street, Charleston, West Virginia. We got ribs, chicken, pulled pork, brisket, collard greens, mac and cheese, baby. Come get some and get you a nice, smooth cigar. 304-550-4431. That is 304-550-4431. Come get some, baby. The Rib Man, mama, the Rib Man.
You've been injured. You deserve help from an attorney that knows how to handle your injury claim. This is Attorney Clinton Paris from the Law Office of Clinton Paris. For over a decade, I worked for insurance companies, and now I use that knowledge and experience to help people that have been injured. For a free consultation, call me, Attorney Clinton Paris, at 813-413-7924. That's 813-413-7924, or at parislawoffice.com. At the Law Office of Clinton Paris, we take the pain out of being hurt. Offices, Riverview.
We are back from break. Once again, this is Power Moves here on In Touch Radio, reality radio, where everyone is a star. So we're here with my guest, Joe Malloy from Jam Sports Ventures. And we were talking about how Web 3.0 and the metaverse is really transforming what the engagement and the experience is for the fan experience, and giving them more opportunities to really be in tune with their favorite teams and the event that's occurring. And with that being said, because now we're going to focus on the money segment, as a person that's a general manager and owner of a team, what should people be thinking about if they ever want to explore the industry of ownership of a team?
I think, Joel, what the opportunities that present themselves, there are the standard revenue generating mechanisms, right? Advertising, sponsorship, ticket sales, concessions, parking, media rights, right? In the U.S. certainly, right? So there are some other maybe little pieces of it, but those are the big basic components. Now I think within the AI space of the metaverse, the e-commerce, let's say that I'll go back to my days, Derek Jeter hitting his 3,000th hit, right? If that could have been captured on an instant NFT and sold within a minute around the world, right? So you can imagine the potential revenue that would have generated, not only for the player, but for the club and sponsors or anybody else like that. So
I want to pause on that, because I'm happy you mentioned that as a specific example, right? Because with that, as an owner of a team, how much of a percentage of ownership of that event would the Yankees as a trademark, as a team, or any organization own in something like that?
Most ownership groups that own a sports team have the rights to anything and everything that participates within the event, right? Within the match, within the baseball game, which is whatever it may be. The revenues are based upon, gross, because after you pay expenses, then certainly what's left over would be the net, right? And that you have to multiply that out over X number of games or matches in your season. X number of events at the stadium outside of the sporting event. So you can host a concert, or the Yankees host a football game in the winter. I guess it's, I forget the name of the bowl, but they, in the last 10 years or so, they started playing a college football bowl game there at the Yankee Stadium. So those are ancillary events that also bring in revenue, concerts, things like that. So there's a myriad of revenue streams, and then they basically funnel through the event expenses. Usually money goes back into the team to run the team, to pay the bills, pay the, so forth, pay the employees, pay the players, pay everybody that's part of what's going on. So, at the end of the day, certainly there may be some profit margin for the ownership group. It just depends on the sport. It depends on how they've structured their management group. Do they get a yearly return, or they get a yearly return plus what tax base they would be paying on? Or would they just get the tax base, that's their allocation, and then the rest goes back into making the team a better team? So it varies.
Gotcha. With that being said, Joe, you've been in the industry for quite some time. Can you share with folks is there different motivations for certain owners when they come to owning teams? And what do I mean by that is it true that some owners of the teams is just doing it as a hobby and a tax write-off? And there's some owners that own a team because they really want it to be profitable and make money and grow. Or then some owners this is just a toy for them.
You've hit on probably all three, Joel. we're certainly not going to mention who.
No, we're not going to mention who. But I just want to make sure, because this is our money segment. And
Yes,
so I want you
absolutely.
to kind of share that.
Absolutely. A lot of owners in the industries, all sports across the globe, teams are not their primary source of income. They buy the team as a trophy to have it. They're part of the community. They want to bring that stature of owning a club within the city that they live. They may have a much bigger business associated with themselves and their main company, and so the sport is really secondary. I don't know of any owners now that would be in it just because, right? They're in it to win, right? And that's the ultimate goal, is to win. And if you're winning, you're making money. How much depends on what expenses, but you're still, at the end of the day, your return on investment over time is more than what you acquired the asset for. So,
Can you share, Joe? Can you share with us when you came in, because you were new to the sports and entertainment industry, and you're an innovator. Can you share with us when you got involved with the Yankees organization? What were the 1 to 2 things that you did that added more value and also created other organizations to step up their game to do the same?
I think it'd have to be the player development and scouting department of the New York Yankees. For so long they were producing players that were playing on everybody else's teams. They would get picked up in the Rule 5 draft. They would get traded. They would just end up being free agents. So I think what we did was we took the opportunity to develop players through a solid system of picking a 17-year-old kid and projecting him 5 years out, and at age 22, is he at AAA or in the big leagues? Mm-hmm. And I use Derek Jeter as an example. Derek was 17 years old out of Kalamazoo, Michigan. I gave permission for him to be drafted. It is not the MO of the New York Yankees to take a high school player that early, right? Mm-hmm. Everybody told me, all the scouts and player development people, he's going to be big time. All right. 17 years old, we took him, and we had a program aligned with him based on the player development's department and the experts that we had there to get him to the big leagues within a 4 or 5 year period. Well, we drafted him in 92, and in 96, he's playing in the World Series. So, if having the right, corporate America calls it research and development.
Right.
The top 500. If you want to make money during a depression, you don't put away your research and development, you enhance it. So that when everybody comes back from the, in this case, pandemic or anything else like that, you're that much more prepared, you're that much more ready to go to battle to win. That was the view of the New York Yankees since really 1989, was we were going to change the farm system, which was the 7 minor league teams that we had under the main club. And we were going to increase our scouts and globally increase scouts, players most in South America, the Dominican Republic. We enhanced the academy. So we did things at the younger level to get them prepared to play, i.e. Mariano Rivera, Andy. If you look at the golden years of the 4 out of 5 World Series from 96 to 2000, those were a lot of farm-bred ball players through the system drafted by the New York Yankees.
That's right, Bernie. So yeah. I'm happy you mentioned that. And with that being said, how do you equate that in the business world? So you also equated that to research and development. But would you also say from a personal development with mentorship as well as developing employees so that they can be their better selves? Would you equate that to be the same?
Well, yes, they go hand in hand, because if you can't put a product on the field that's successful because they weren't being properly trained, motivated, nourished, counseled when necessary at the lower levels and even moving to the big club, right, at some point in time for a lot of them. Those are attributes that we wanted to find in people that worked for us and that played for us. They had they were hungry to win, and they wanted to do what they needed to do each and every day. Now, with that being said, doing what you had to do every day had to follow the directions and mentorship of the coaches, the front office staff, the trainers, the weight training coaches. The minor league system at one time never had a full-time trainer at every minor league facility. Well, we were the first ones to do that. We were the first ones to put in strength and conditioning coaches at our AA and AAA. We were the first to build a facility in Tampa, Florida, as you know,
right,
that encompassed rehab centers for major league players when they got injured up north on the main roster and they needed a place to go rehab, warm weather, go figure, right, Florida, and
right.
And have an opportunity to have a good medical staff. I mean, we had the finest medical doctors in New York and in Tampa, Florida. We had a doctor for every facet. We even had a pediatrician for spring training and the single A kids for when their babies got sick, right? And spring training, you're here for 6 weeks, you bring your family and they need a doctor. We had, a pediatrician office for them to go to, eye doctors, everything you found. So all of that built in to winning success. It was just a real component of what we were doing, bringing all of it together. All of it together.
And that's what it is. A championship mentality brings championships. On that note, we got another commercial break.
All
so
right.
Once again, this is Power Moves, where celebrities, athletes, key influential executives share how they make money, how they attract power, and how they earn respect. Here only on In Touch News Radio, reality radio where everyone is a star. See you after this break.
Hey, this is Agent Wright, better known as Mr. Clean. You looking for some great barbecues? Come see them two brothers in the grill, located at 423 Virginia Street, Charleston, West Virginia. We got ribs, chicken, pulled pork, brisket, collard greens, mac and cheese, baby. Come get some and get you a nice, smooth cigar. 304-550-4431. That is 304-550-4431. Come get some, baby. The Rib Man, mama, the Rib Man.
Call Ricky. Ask Ricky. You need medical or a lawyer? I got the man to do the legwork for you. We tried the other ones before, so believe we hunted down 813-248-6300. Everything gon' be okay. Call Ricky, he coming. He taking care of state of Florida. Grab a pen of sundown 184-361-RICK. That's 184-361-425. Never word from the point forward, just recline. Just ask Ricky, plus your boy statewide. Just in case you missed it, I'ma tell you one more time. 184-361-RICK. Call Ricky, ask Ricky. It's a legal medical referral service. The doctors and lawyers in our network are trained in handling auto injury claims and getting you the best medical treatment and recovery. Dial 1-844-361-RICK. That's 1-844-361-7425. Ricky. Ask Ricky.
We're playing your favorite old school. Today's R&B. With a smooth touch of jazz. You're listening to In Touch Radio.
All right, we are back. This is Power Moves on In Touch Radio, reality radio where everyone is a star. We got Joseph Malloy. The beautiful thing about your name is, I went to Malloy High School, so I got love for you, Joe. The great Jack Curran was my guy. As a matter of fact, before he died, we talked about. He was like, man, A-Rod is my guy. He knew A-Rod ever since he was at the school in South Florida, because it was a sister school to Malloy High School, because Malloy High School was part of the Marist brothers.
Right. Oh,
Malloy
God.
was part of like Mount St. Michael, which is where Diddy and a couple of my friends went there. That was a Marist school. And then there was a school in Jersey that was a Marist school. I can't remember the name of it, but the school down in South Florida, was it called Columbus or something like that? I forgot.
Yeah, that is the Columbus High School was a Marist.
It was a Marist school, and he talked about A-Rod back then, and how he was close with A-Rod. So what we want to talk about is going into the power and influence. So as you came up the ranks, how did you build up the leadership and the power to really, orchestrate and put things together and have people listen to you?
When I took over the New York Yankees in 1992, officially as owner and managing general partner, I was 30 years old. I was the youngest owner in the industry. I think I was probably the youngest owner in any professional sport in the U.S. at that time. And I went in with the philosophy of a teacher, right, and a coach. When you're coaching a basketball game, you have 5 guys on the court, right?
Yeah.
And subsequently, you put your best players out. If you have to make a trade, you have to make a substitution, you put a sub in. So you're constantly making decisions to better the club to get the win. Well, right. I've always surrounded myself with the very best of people that I think follow the same mindset that I have, and have the ability to bring in new and fresh ideas from off the bench, sort of. Always listening to everyone's opinions, but at the end of the day, as the owner of the club, owner of the asset, owner of the team, it's your decision. There's only one person that makes the final decision in any sporting team. And so that you take your best advice, some of it paid off, some of it doesn't pay off, and you keep going, right? And so those are things that we did at age 30. And as we grew with the club, we grew with the people that were there. I still, have really good relationship with people that worked at the Yankees at that time that are out right now, no longer working with the Yankees, retired and so forth. So you build that respect and you allow them to do their jobs and bring the best opinions in order to make the right decisions.
I like your languaging, and I want to bring it to the attention of our listeners of the approach that you had when it came down to the responsibility, because that's part of a key aspect of power is taking full control and full responsibility by making sure you had the right people around you. But what I liked about what you said in particular is the fact that you understood that this was an asset. And so with asset, you got to treat it with kid gloves and a lot of respect. And when you have the responsibility of an asset, you have to make sure that you take care of it the way you're supposed to. Is that a good assessment?
That's an absolute correct and spot on, Joel. It's almost like, when you go into any kind of a business and you take over the business, right? You don't normally go in and then fire everybody and start all over, right? You build relationships with the people that are there. You really listen to the people that are your hands-on, the people. Your secretary is your best ears, your best asset, right?
Right.
The custodians that clean the place, they're all from every level makes you a winner. And so you have to respect the people that are there doing their job. They have a responsibility. Now, when they don't do the responsibility to the expectation, well, then you have a meeting, you call them in, you talk it over. You don't necessarily have to go crazy and fire everybody every time somebody makes a mistake. Nobody'd be working for you.
Right.
I mean, it'd be a constant revolving door. And that was certainly not the approach that we had or we took. We wanted to stabilize our revolving door prior to me, and have the right people in the right positions. And again, listening to their opinions, valuing their opinions. Their opinion mattered. But at the end of the day, one decision had to be made, and that's what we went with. And everybody in the organization supported that decision, whether they believed it or not. That is a good employee and somebody that cares about the organization, is that they may not like what you did, but they're going to support it 150%.
Ooh, so how did you do that? Not too many people know how to make sure that even if people have a difference of opinion, still support your decision. That's an art form, and that's powerful. How do you do that?
I do it just by the interactions. When I said the secretaries, right? The most important people on the executive floor, they run the floor. The executives are in and out. So I personally made it a point to speak to everybody that I could every day that I was there, either in Yankee Stadium or here in Tampa at Steinbrenner Stadium. And allowing them the opportunity to talk. Not just, hey, how you doing, and keep going, right? How's your family? How are things? How's your son doing? How did he do in his basketball game at, Malloy High School, right? So, there was an interaction of from an ownership perspective with the people that were your basis, your as the government would say, your bureaucrats, the guys that are there all the time, right? The same guys are there no matter who's president, right? Whatever party, doesn't matter. The bureaucrats that are running our government are the same people, right? May just be the leadership changes. Well, if you're a good leader, you're not going to make all kind of changes with the people that are there that are working day in and day out to, one, make the team better and make a successful endeavor. And winning and losing is a mark of success. And the fact that you can do that openly, right, is key. You have to be able to sit. I had the best time sometimes. I would have lunch with the secretaries. I know I'd go in and surprise them. I'd bring my salad and sit right down and talk to them. And then, and some of the people when I first got there thought I was nuts to do that, right? But no, you have to and engage with everyone. You have to. In order to be successful, everybody must buy in to what you're doing. And by my interaction with them, they bought in to the vision that we had to be successful, to win. The money was going to be there. Let's just, we're not going to worry about it. The money was going to be there with the New York Yankees. So, but it was the work ethic. It was the people wanting to do the extra. Stay the extra 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes to accomplish what their task was that maybe they got delayed with during the day. And knowing that their day ended. I mean, there was many a day that people were just staying and working and being a part of the game that night. And I think those are the things that you build a trust and a respect as an owner, and a fairly young owner at that time, amongst the people. And some of them had been there 30 years, 40 years already. But they came around. They saw the vision, and it produced 4 out of 5 World Series. Huge.
So as you are working with these other teams and things of that nature, how are you helping those leaders
We've kind of
proper power and culture, right?
right. Well, Joel, let me back up a second. We're kind of we talk to owners in the industries, and what we're doing though now for Jam Sports is acquiring assets and then managing those assets, getting back in the business of running teams. And so the consulting piece really is kind of secondary aspect of it right now, because if I end up owning or partnering with a group of people to own a team, then I'm consulting with my opponent. That's not going to sit pretty well. So we've slowed down a little bit on the consulting piece and gotten a little bit more focused on sports acquisitions, especially right now in the European market with, they say football, we say soccer.
Right.
Very good market, very big opportunities, very good for the metaverse development. And so that's where we're focused. So if anybody's listening and they want to invest, we have room.
That's right. You got room and expertise.
Yes, come on.
That's right. So we're gonna get ready to go on break once again, because we are at nearing the 8:45 mark, and then we'll wrap it up and let you do a commercial, as well as go into our respect segment. So once again, this is Power Move, with celebrities, athletes, key influencers, executives, how they make money, how they attract power, and how they earn respect. See you after the break.
In Touch Radio.
This is Joel Sylvain
And Kevin Carr.
and we're with Power Moves, where celebrities, athletes, key influential executives
Influencers.
share how they make money, how they attract power, and how they earn respect. Come join us every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Power Moves.
On In Touch Radio.
Who doesn't love being number one? When your team's dominating the standings, or your favorite band rocks the charts at number one, it feels good, right? Kind of like how it feels when you have auto insurance with State Farm. Because making you feel like number one is an honor your local State Farm agent takes seriously. Through the good times and not so good, your State Farm agent's proud to be here to help life go right.
Call Herman White at 961-6661. That's 961-6661.
Hi, this is Angela Birdsong with Tampa Bay Politics. And not only can you catch us on InTouchNews.com every Wednesday at 11 a.m., we now have a website at TampaBayPoliticsPodcast.com. We are on Apple, Google, Spotify, and Stitcher, which you can log in at any time and listen to Tampa Bay Politics.
All right, we are back. This is Power Moves once again with Joe Malloy with Jam Sports Ventures, and we're jumping into our respect segment, which you pretty much touched upon that in our past segment where we talked about power, where respect is given when the leader treats everyone equally, right? So I kind of love that, but I'm going to challenge you a little bit there, Joe, because you had a couple of egos back in the days. You're dealing with that. Have you ever experienced a time where someone disrespected you and you had to handle that? Like, what lesson can you share with folks that are in leadership positions, or even folks that are, employees or that need to coach up? How would you go through conflict resolution?
For me, I'm speaking, very much outward about this. I didn't have the conflict because it never got to me really at that point. The executives that were under me handled the issues within their departments. The only person that really was on the chopping block per se, was the manager of the team, right? But the part that I think is critical is from an owner's perspective. I never went after that person as soon as I heard something. I mean, it was more of gathering the information, gathering certainly opinions of the executives that may have been involved, listening to their obviously opinions, and then having a sit down in a calm and professional manner. And at the end of the day, if the conflict could not be resolved satisfactory, then that person had to move on. Sadly, that's reality. That's life, right? We didn't have too many of those over our 11-year tenure. But I think that what people they saw, and they allowed me to gain their respect, which I think is critical, that everybody has respect, not only for one another, but my gaining their respect was critical, being at such a young age. Now at 61, I'm probably, my temper might be a little shorter. I don't know. I'm trying but it's putting, again, the employee first, having them work to the best of their ability. And if something happens where it's not working out, then you make a change in an appropriate manner. And gaining respect, gaining people's trust, having them believe that they can say with honesty what their opinion is. A lot of times people will give your opinion and it's worth a grain of salt, right? So, people feeling that they are empowered enough to give their opinion in a professional manner with respect. And if they feel they have respect for you and you have respect for them, you're going to get that. And you're going to have that honest dialogue. And it may be that the honest dialogue is, well, Joel, thanks for your time here with the, Jam Sports, but we have to make a change. And it's done in an admirable and meaning, professional manner, I should say.
Right. What about the vendors and the partnerships that you had? What was negotiations like?
Well, we had two facilities. We had obviously Yankee Stadium, and then we had the facility here in Tampa, Florida. And certainly we had a good, solid team of lawyers and accountants that were part of the process. David Sussman was our chief guy, chief operating officer, and chief general counsel at that time. And we held him in the highest regard with respect to negotiations and contracts. Here in Tampa, we had, John Agliano, a lawyer here in Tampa, same mindset, same work ethic. And so we felt very comfortable in entrusting the negotiations, at least at the early stages, and before it came into myself or on my desk. There were some, a lot of meetings where you just got up and you stormed out. And a lot of that might have been a little show. Talk about entertainment, right? You want to make a scene, make a statement. But I think that, again, the vendors that we talked to, the vendors that were part of the process of working in conjunction with New York and Florida, felt that we were, honest in our approach, our business approach. That's key. And they were the same vendors for the 11 years I was there. So we had a very good relationship. The toughest group I've ever negotiated with were the secretary union in New York.
I can imagine.
They were great. They were great.
So, Joe, just to round this off, because we have about 7 minutes, and then I want you to kind of, share how do people do business with you and things of that nature. But before that, what is the opportunity of the sports and entertainment industry? So for anyone that's coming out of college, what advice would you give them in exploring? Because like you said, you were an executive at the age of 30, right. The youngest one that was an owner. So, what would you advise?
I would say that every college kid that's out there that's interested in sports, doesn't have to be baseball, could be any sport, and you're up for an internship or you have an opportunity to work in the summer, contact the league. They all have a centralized, for the most part, a centralized internship base where they screen everybody. Call the teams directly in the cities that you live in. Offer to, if you can certainly do it for free, that's even better for the teams. But, some internships are paid. And if you have that availability to do that, either right after college or finishing your college, I would highly recommend it. We brought in interns from various colleges throughout New York and actually the United States to work at the New York Yankees. And some of those young interns at 22 are now CFOs, chief revenue officers, CEOs of sports teams throughout. And I really was proud of myself and as an educator by background, that we could do that for these kids. This was molding them, putting them in the right frame of mind and how to go about doing business. And they ended up leaving the New York Yankees on their own and moving on to bigger and better things. And I keep in touch with them often, and they always tease me about my teacher coach mode about, fussing at them when I needed to, but, I just tell them, look, give me the tickets. I'm coming into your city. I need tickets. So
that's right. That's right. The VIP treatment.
Well,
you scratch my back, I scratch yours, baby.
Payback. You gotta get a little payback.
That's right. So kind of share with folks a little bit about, your business venture. What do you do? What are you looking for? This is your time to do your commercial.
Oh, well, thank you very much, Joel. As mentioned earlier and throughout the conversation, Jam Sports Ventures is a sports consultancy, operational management, sports acquisition company. We do have a number of assets currently under LOIs, and we're now in the process of vetting interested investors. So the key is the investor market that would want to come in, partner with us as we move forward and make acquisitions. We will own the asset. We'll operate the asset. We'll bring in the technology that I spoke about earlier. A little bit easier to do in the European space than the American space, only because of big media and so forth with contracts here and turning stadiums into smart stadiums and those types of things. It's a sports. I would say if anybody that's never invested in sports, give it a shot. It's a lot of fun. It'll put a smile on your face or a frown. It just depends on whether you're winning or losing, right? But we have opportunities for investors if they're out on your show or listening, or somebody listening may know somebody. They can certainly, obviously, Joel, get through to you, to me, through your website or email address and so forth. But it's really just that simple. It's just investors. The investor amount is really it's a 10 million mark as a minimum. And we're talking with investors at around 15 to 25 million mark because of the assets acquiring in the European football space. That's really a nickel tour of Jam Sports. real quick. Hopefully we get some people interested.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, once again, thank you for coming on our show, sharing your expertise, sharing your stories. You know, probably we might have to do a part 2 where we talk about it's like almost making like a mini documentary of you know, all the different players and scenarios and whatnot. That would probably be lots of fun. But once again, thank you for joining our show, Jam Sports Ventures. Joseph Malloy in the place to be. Once again, another great show here at Power Moves, where celebrities, athletes, key influential executives share how they make money, how they attract power, and how they earn respect. See you next week, baby.